I know most of you are familiar with that sound. And for those of you who are not, it's called the shout, more commonly known now as the bump in gospel music. It's something that you hear pretty commonly in churches today all over America. And I happen to be at one of these churches here in Atlanta. That's what you just seen me playing at that big old church. For most of you that know me, you know me as the YouTube bass dude that puts these videos up all the time. But for everybody else that knows me here in Atlanta, that's where you'll find me every week on Sundays, Wednesdays, sometimes Saturdays. So that's where I spend a majority of my time. And in those times, you have those spontaneous outbursts, it's called shouts, that happen, when the spirit gets high in the church and that kind of thing. Most of you are familiar with that if you grew up in the church and grew up in the church environment and that kind of thing. But there are some people who didn't grow up in that environment, or even if you did grow up in that environment, you are not used to what the shout has kind of became over the last 10 to 15 years. The shout has definitely changed. It's morphed. It's still pretty much the same thing, that straight foot stomp, hand clap thing, but the chord changes have changed a bit over the years. Kind of got to be prepared for it. Something you just kind of got to know, because there's no rehearsal most of the time for these things. They just happen on the fly, and you have to be prepared for them. So what I've done is I've created a course for bass players to help you in this area, to help you be more prepared, because I know that's something that can be a struggle for most of you out there, especially if you're trying to already keep up with all this modern music and everything that's going on. I just wanted to kind of help give you an edge in that area. So check it out. I've created the 5-week Shout Bump Bass course. And each week we'll cover a different scene. I'll show you the progression. I'll show you different variations of bass lines. I'll show you a few licks that you can add to spice up your playing and that kind of thing. So when these moments do happen in church, you'll have a little advantage. And with this course as well, we've created a backing track so you can have to work on your own time as you practice, as you prepare yourself for Sunday worship, or if you're just a person who would like to know how to play this. You might not even play in a church. You just want to know more about gospel music, more about playing in this type of environment. Trust me, this backing track will give you this kind of feeling of playing in that environment. So if you're a bass player that's struggling in this area, I have a solution for you. Right after this video, head on over to JermaineMorgan.net to the Shout Bump Bass course. And trust me, you'll be glad that you did. I'll see you there. Take care. Good morning, everybody. Give a few more of you guys time to jump in. I'm gonna put together a little groove while we get this going. See what we can do with this looper this morning. Directors, good morning to you. So you say you love your new strings. I'm glad that you got your new strings. That's actually pretty cool, because the mail service, not to throw them under the bus, but they've been kind of whack lately. So I wasn't sure when you guys were going to get your strings, but I'm glad that you got them. I sent something off like a few weeks ago, and it's like it's coming up on 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks. I sent something perishable off, and it did not get to the location, and we have no clue to where it is. So I'm glad that you got your strings. I'm glad that you got your strings. It's crazy. So let's see that feel like anything. Trying to get it together this morning. Tyrone, good morning to you. EMT, good morning. Floppy, good morning to you, man. Who else we have in here? Bernard, all is well, man. I don't like the feel of that. I'm sorry. I'm trying to deal with it. I don't like the feel of it. I'm super crazy about that. The feel. Tyrone, man, absolutely. I'm glad you got your strings. Obit, good morning to you. So let's try this again. Let me see here. Let me get my microphone up for my looper. Yeah, I like that sound better. So we're going from either the thumb or just hitting the microphone. I know that's terrible for my microphone people out there, but it's okay. It's a dynamic. It can take it. So let's see here. Let's see if did I erase that? So let's try that. That feels a little better. Morning, Tiffany. Bernard, I'm good, man. All is well. All is well with me. Glad to have y'all here this morning. Anthony, what's up, man? Morning. Got my book yesterday. It's good. Full of good info. Man, thank you. Glad that you got the book. Appreciate that. And I think I sent it to you, I think. Yeah, the working musician. Thank you, sir. Floyd, what's up, man? All is well. So I got the groove from this video I'm going to show you guys. I wanted to talk about something before I got too deep into this morning. So we're doing this groove with my band. Made me think about it. I got this thing I want to show you. I'll show you the video first, but I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention to something in this video. In particular, my keyboard player, how many keyboards he has here. And it's no shade to him because that's my dude and he does his thing. But I want to show you guys this video really quick, and then I'll tell you about the reason why I want to show you this video. But this is the vibe where I got what I'm playing this morning from, so you guys have better context. So check this out really quick. All right, so obviously that vibe went on for way longer than the video showed. But you guys can see the idea of what I'm talking about with my keyboard player having a lot of keyboards. All right, so recently I was sent this thing by Radial Engineering, well, actually by Sweetwater, but it's designed by Radial Engineering. Why do I bring this up? If any of you guys own studios, or you are like me, you have your own band, or maybe it's at your church and you guys are kind of short on inputs. I know for me, that's something that I run into quite a bit when we go out because of the fact that the keyboard player has so many different boards, and it's necessary for our set because he, plays a lot of different parts and he needs to access these different sounds at the same time. So it's necessary for him to have the board. So it's like, well, why don't he just have one keyboard? It's like, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So anyway, Radial Engineering, they made this thing called the Key Largo. And somebody might say, well, why don't you just get a mixer? Well, the mixer is cool, but this just a little bit sweeter. What this thing allows is it allows a keyboard player, my keyboard player, he can get up to 3 stereo mixes of his keyboards. He had 4 there, which is still cool because if he wanted to run 2 of the keyboards mono, he could do that as well. And actually, he could run up to 6 keyboards mono. but it allows you, if you see these inputs on the back, it allows you to send in up to 3 keyboards stereo. You can have 3 stereo channels for keyboard, and it acts as a DI. This is a DI in terms of functionality wise. This is exactly what it is. It's a DI. It is powered by a DC volt, so you will need power for it. But this thing has so many capabilities, and I play keyboard from time to time. And recently, I had to play keys at this particular situation, and I wanted to use my sounds off of my laptop because I wasn't familiar with the keyboard at the place that I was going to be playing. So I said, well, let me take like kind of foolproof it because I don't play keyboard all the time, and let me foolproof myself and just take something that where I can kind of control the dynamics, if you will. So what I did is I took the Key Largo along with my laptop, and I was able to plug in and access. So this doubles as an interface as well if you need an interface with that keyboard mixer. So I could patch these keyboards in and also plug in my computer and run it USB as an interface. And there's a ton of other features that this thing does, but it also has this feature. If you, for some random reason, you're a keyboard player and you forget your sustain pedal and you have this has a sustain button. So this could double as a triple as a sustain pedal. Uh, somebody said, Floppy said, I hope you had enough keyboards. Yeah, my keyboard player, he normally has anywhere from 3 to 4 keyboards. That's his normal setup with our band. So, this is perfect. Even I remember, I don't have the video here, but the Blue Lines video, we literally took so long because I didn't account for his keyboard setup. So I ran short on channels. So we had to kind of figure some other stuff out to make sure that we had enough inputs because I was recording live drums. I was recording my bass. We were running stems, and then he had his keyboard. So I ran low on channels. So this thing right here, just for my studio setup right now, is a lifesaver because it expands, essentially it expands my setup, and it's like you're not worrying about getting any hum or any buzz or anything like this. It's a very, very solid piece of gear. And yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys about it. So if you have a small studio setup, maybe you have, a little 4 channel or something like that, inbox or something, and you want to send multiple keyboards in at the same time, and have that keyboard player just mix his sound as he sends it to you. If you're doing like a live set, if you're recording, of course, we can multi-track all day long. But if you're doing a live set, this is my recommendation for a live set. And not just because it's something that they sent me, but I actually tried it out for myself. And I'm like, this is something that I really, really need in my studio. So it's something that actually it worked out pretty dope. So check out Key Largo. I put it down in the description where you can get it. And I'll also put a link card as well where you can go and check it out more if you want to purchase that and that kind of thing. So be sure to check this out. Again, it's by Radio Engineering, called the Key Largo. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the band clip. So if you've never heard of my band at all, I do play outside of YouTube, and that's my band. It consists, I put it in the chat, but my band consists of Will Perry on keyboards and Darius Fant on drums. So if you purchased the last Jermaine Morgan band record, those are the guys who are actually playing on the record, and just phenomenal brothers of mine. Not not literal, but we, in the sense of brotherhood, we're all brothers, and we've been really, really close friends for many, many years. So that's fun to create and do music with people that you consider friends, you consider family. All that being said, getting back to the groove, that's what inspired this groove this morning. Now you got where it came from. Ephraim, he says, what should first take into consideration learning the bass grooves? All right, hold on. Let me pause the groove to answer you to answer your question. All right, so you said, what should first taken into consideration when learning the bass groove? I would say listening. Listening is key over anything you're trying to do when it comes to playing this instrument and just learning bass in general. Listening is everything. So many people skip that vital piece of information because they're so busy trying to skip to the next greatest thing. They're working on technique. They're working on trying to be able to play fast, trying to learn their scales, trying to do all of these things which are important. But at the end of the day, if you don't listen, that's everything in music. Listening is everything. I was a person. I grew up in a way. The way I learned wasn't the scholastic, how you said, it wasn't the schooled approach to learning. I didn't have a formal teacher or anything like that. I just kind of picked up from people around me that were doing the music, like my mom, my brother. I had an uncle that played guitar, so I just listened and I picked up and I observed as much as I could observe, and a little bit that you pull from learning songs and stuff for church and that kind of thing. But it all came down to listening. So I would try as a bass player, as I'm trying to learn more groove, I would definitely try to listen to everything around me, how it fits together. How is this groove working there? What's making up this groove? Why are we calling this a groove? What am I feeling? So I'm listening to all of these different things, trying to put it all together to see how I can come up with the bass line. Because if I only focus on the bass line, that's going to make me good as a bass player. But as an overall musician, the more I practice listening to everything in the band, it shows me how everything fits together. Not just my part, not just the man, that bass line, I don't know why I went to that song randomly. But you know what I'm saying? Hearing that song or hearing that bass line is cool. But what makes it stick even better if I know how everything else is moving around it. If I know how the drums is moving around it, if I know how the guitar, if there's a guitar, a keyboard, all these different things, even the cadence of the vocal being sung with this bass line, because what that does, it puts me in a different bracket as a bass player, as a musician, because now I'm not only listening for my part, but now I'm listening with that producer's ear. I'm hearing how everything fits together. So musically, once I start stepping outside of that bass line, the reason why most of you guys watch, I guess, some of my lessons, because a lot of you guys want to know how to step outside of okay, this is the bass line. We got that part. So how do I move beyond that? We do that by listening, by figuring out, okay, this is going on here, that's going on there. Like the drums are doing a particular pattern, the guitar is doing a certain pattern, and from that, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can literally start, and I talk about this a lot in the monthly memberships lessons, but I can literally start to come up with ideas based off something that I heard the drummer do. If he do take a do, so if I what key was I in? You know what I'm saying? So now all I have is a group of notes, but with that rhythm, it gave me something to do with that group of notes that made it musical. Just I'm playing off the pentatonic, of course. But so listening to all that stuff, it kind of levels the playing field for me in terms of all of the information. Now I have this information. I've been playing for a little while, because your question didn't necessarily talk about getting started playing, but it talked about groove. So to me, I'm assuming that you're already playing. So if I'm already playing, I know the kind of basic rules of engagements, so to speak, when it comes to playing. I want to be able to experiment and explore a little bit more. Well, that comes from listening to everything around me, because when I'm playing different songs, recording for different artists and that kind of thing, I'm listening to what's going on in the record. And by paying attention to what's happening in the record and playing off something that's already there, it kind of influences what I'm going to do for their particular song. So now it keeps everything from sounding the same. I played on this album, it sound that way. Now I play on this record and it sounds exactly the same. No, people have their own identity that they want in their music, but you can still implement who you are over that, but with respect to what's already going on. How do I respect what's already there? Simply listening. So sorry for that long answer, but hopefully I kind of really covered it in depth. Let's see here. Do you want to let us win that? I don't know. I don't know with this one. I don't know if I'm giving this one away. I'm really digging this, and I'm being stingy with this particular one. So I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna hold good one. I'm giving away strings, but I'm gonna hold on to this one right now. I will give away some other stuff. So just hang tight. There will be some other giveaways, but I'm gonna be a little selfish with that one right there. I'm gonna hold on to that one. That's a good one. Tiffany said, I thought about entering a contest yesterday and I was on the keyboard. I heard the other guys on keys and realized I am seriously short of equipment. So thanks for the plug. Okay, I got you. No problem at all. Charles says, good morning from Philly. Perfect way to start a birthday with some grooves and some motivation. Man, happy birthday to you, Charles. Happy birthday to you. Yesterday was my mom's birthday. So y'all April babies, boy, it's a lot of April birthdays. I seen like 50 birthdays on Facebook. I'm like, goodness, is this many people born in April? I know it's every month, but when you're somebody personally, you just everything just kind of stands out to you. Yeah, what is it? The reticular activating system, the RAS system. It just you see everything now. She said, give it anyway. We gonna pray about that one. Probably not, but you know what I'm saying? All right, so Floppy, yeah, he says, happy birthday, Charles. So again, some of you guys hadn't let me know where you're watching. I see Kansas City. Vic, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Southampton is in the building. Who else do we have in the building? Some of you guys, I seen Russia earlier. Was it Euro? Yeah. And so if you're still on here, good morning to you. He says, he said, I'm a white bass rookie from Russia, and I love gospel, funk, soul, and jazz. Where do I start? Any books, courses? Tons of courses on JermaineMorgan.net. Shameless plug. So yeah, absolutely. Start there. Start with JermaineMorgan.net. But seriously, I have a ton of free content here on YouTube that kind of covers a lot of what you're talking about. So I feel like you'll find a lot of what you need right here on this channel. But if you need more of a beginner starting point, yeah, definitely check out the website. I have a beginner course there for you guys if you are a beginner. So yeah, let's jump back into this groove really quick, and then we'll move right on to our motivation for today. All right, let me see if I got anything over this groove. What was the line we did? I already know somebody's gonna ask me for that line. Normally somebody, hey man, you need to break that line down. All right, so y'all get a free line broke down. How that groove happened, we were in rehearsal for that particular show. We did that show in Mississippi at the Blue Canoe, and we were in rehearsal, and this groove happened from my song Original Slate. There's a line at the very end of the song, like where we're coming out of the groove or something like, and we go to this line. I do it on the bass coming out of this particular section, and we all practice that line to make sure that we had it on our fingers, because when I record this stuff, it's like it goes out the window. I hardly remember anything I record. And so as we were going over this line, we just kept looping it. And then the drummer started playing. He started playing this groove. And so we just kept looping the line, and it turned into a whole vibe. So my keyboard player, he pulled out his phone and he recorded it. And we had like 5 minutes of content of just vibing for we played the line longer than that, but he just kept, he just only kept about 5 minutes of it. And so we were listening back like, man, we got to add this in the show. All right, we'll see where it goes. So truth be told, that don't even scratch the surface of the vibe that we had at the band rehearsal when we were going over it. Normally it doesn't, the organic vibe that happened just in the spur of the moment. So what this line is, it's like it says easy tongue twisted. So it's like a E major 7 with the added 9 arpeggio, and then it goes to that E flat minor 9. Like you can basically play kind of like a Dorian mode over there. E flat Dorian. And so again, it's if you have your bass, I'm playing that E major 7, added 9. Now, if you are watching this on YouTube in the replay, you can pause it, slow it down, and go back. So I'm giving you the riff from my song. Most people won't do that. Forget it. So that's how it all fits in. So Floppy said, "Oh well, it's that time again. I have to get back to work. Can't complain too much." As sat in the sun, polishing boat the marine. Till next time, yes sir. Thank you, Floppy, for joining as usual. Good morning, Mama. Happy belated birthday to you again, y'all. Shout my mama out, Dr. Peggy Moore. It was her birthday yesterday. I spoke about you. You must didn't hear me this morning. So, oh, Andre, good morning to you. Ocala, Florida. Ocala? How you say that? Ocala? That's all right. We ain't gonna worry with it. Ronald, good morning to you, man. Appreciate it. If you're wondering where the bass player comes from, it's from Dr. Peggy Moore. That's my mom. So she played bass first. Morning, Angel. Appreciate that.
Obviously, I can stay on that groove all day.
Another one for the books? Think we will. So again, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Grooves and Motivation with me. I'm Jermaine Morgan. Pennsylvania is in the house. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So I wanted to talk about something: rewards over risk. Rewards over risk. So I think not enough people are looking at the value of what can be gained from the effort that's put forth, because it makes it very easy to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done when it comes to uh, something seeming too risky, or it seems like I've done too much already and it doesn't look like the payoff is going to be uh, equal to the amount that I'm putting out. It looks like what I'm risking is going to cost me too much, and the payout on the other end is not going to be worth it. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday in regards to rewards and that kind of thing, taking a risk. I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day, and we were talking about his own personal music. And I was saying to him how important it is for him to not only, um, you know, create his music, but to get it out. And not only to get it out, because a lot of people record stuff and they put it out, but they don't do anything else with it. They just kind of let it sit there. They record music and they just kind of let it sit. Well, I done it. I recorded it. I went through the process. I may have hired some people. I hired a producer. I put it out there and now it's done. Especially if you're instrumentalist. I'm not saying it's not as equally important if you're a vocalist, but especially if you're an instrumentalist and you're putting out content, if you're putting out music or whatever it is that you do, and you're putting something out of value that you've created, how important it is to follow up with it. You already took the risk, but the thing about getting the reward from it is the effort has to still continue after the initial risk is taken. So, one of the things I was telling him, like, you know, because the friend was telling me basically, I'm kind of at this place where I got a lot going on, and life is happening, and I really just don't have the time for it right now. As many of us could say it during this time, it's just we don't have the time for it because I have this to do, I have that to do, I have that to do, and with so much going on, I've been frustrated and all this kind of stuff. And so I just don't have the time. So I put it on the back burner to get to it. One of the thoughts that I left with him, I said, well, let me leave this thought with you. I said something that I thought about the other day, and I almost tweeted it or almost put it on Facebook. Because normally when I get these deep thoughts, I try to post them because I know they're not just for me. But this particular one, I kept it to myself. But I'll share it today. I said, imagine getting the news that you only have 10 years left to live. What would you do differently? I asked him, what would you do differently? Obviously, it's a rhetorical question. I don't want to know everything you're going to do for the next 10 years, but it's important that you do. It's important that you get somewhere or get it written down. Start writing your ideas, what you plan to do with the next however many years you have left of your life. So you have only 10 years left. How would you live your life differently, even if you're young? And you found out you only have 10 years left. That means in 2031, you're out of here. I'm going to let that sink for a minute. In 2031, it means it's over. You're out of here. You only have 10 years left. So you better do whatever you need to do, go wherever you need to go, talk to whoever you're trying to talk to, pursue, or just whatever you're going to do. You got 10 years to do it. Now, the follow up to that is, what's the guarantee? Granted, that's a scenario. That's a what if. But what's the guarantee you got 10 years? I'll wait. So what's the guarantee you got 10 years? So all that being said, why would you put the risk off for another day? Or why would you put the idea off for tomorrow? Why would you put going towards whatever this goal is of yours? Why would you keep putting it off if you only have about 10 years left or less? Because we don't know, especially given the times that we're in now. I'm not saying all of this to scare anybody, but I am saying it to put some urgency behind somebody that's watching me today. You have an idea, you have a vision, you have a goal, and you're more than capable of doing it and pulling it off. It's not like you have a lack of resources. It's not like you personally have a lack of, whatever you need to get this thing done. You can actually get it done. You're just procrastinating because you simply don't want to do it. And then the other thing about it, you don't think the reward is going to be worth the risk that it's going to take you to put yourself out there in order to make this thing happen. So you just put it off and you're like, I'll kind of get to it when I get time. Okay. Time is the one thing you can't guarantee that you're going to have. But you can learn how to better manage your time. We talked about time management a few weeks ago here on the Grooves Motivation Live. We talked about just management, how you manage it, how you manage what you have, your time, your resources, all the things you have available to you. And I'll tell my own story. I had this idea the idea started way before then, but I got enough unction, I got enough confidence with myself to step out and actually realize the idea of becoming a bass artist. 2010, I started record. Well, I was already recording before then, but I put out a little, it was a little demo type deal. I called it a mixtape of just some ideas. A lot of these songs that I had on the first draft of my bass album were songs that I had written and tried to submit for artists, and they passed on them, or people weren't interested in my music at all. And as a songwriter, sometimes that can be devastating. But I took the rejection and I said, you know what? I'm going to do something with these ideas. They're not bad ideas just because people don't like them. Let me repeat that. Just because people don't like your idea, that doesn't mean your idea is a bad idea. That just simply means certain people don't like your idea. And so what they say, you take lemons and you make lemonade. And so I took the rejection of certain songs that I was trying to put out there that people didn't necessarily want, or they passed on. They weren't interested in the ideas. And I started, instead of crying about it, instead of making excuses, or instead of saying I'm going to quit altogether, I started kind of crafting those songs that were initially supposed to be, some of the songs that were initially supposed to be vocal songs. I started turning them into instrumental songs, start playing bass solos over them. And then from that, I developed a whole mixtape of ideas. And later, that gave me the courage to further pursue this thing and let me get a real album out. And so I started working, and from that birthed the Journey Continues album. And I had a full album of songs. I won't say those songs were songs I was trying to write for somebody else. I think I started kind of shifting back to my original intent of creating music in terms of writing stuff that I was hearing, the stuff that I was like in my own personal expression of creativity. And I did that. Now, that album did not make me a millionaire. I will say that. That album did not pay anything off at my house. It didn't even pay for the bass. The album did okay. But at best, it's not about who or what you create when you're doing the thing, when you're taking the risk, but it's about who you become by taking the risk and by doing the thing and by putting forth the effort. That album changed my life in a way, not the album itself, but going through the process of doing this and going through the process of pushing myself out of my comfort zone from being a side man in terms of playing behind people all these years to now getting out front, facing my fears, facing rejection, facing people not really accepting my ideas and not feeling like, because around that time, the people that I was listening to when I was kind of trying to improve. When I was trying to improve playing, the people that I was listening to were like up here, and I literally felt like I was down here. So in comparison to the artist that I was listening to, I'm like, man, I don't have a shot. But some kind of way, something in me said, go ahead and do it anyway. And so I did. I guess I was naive to think maybe that many people won't hear it. Maybe just a select few people will hear this and it will be cool. A couple of hundred people hear it. But nah, the more I got into the record, the more it turned into something else. And then from that, Say It With Your Strings was birthed. And now all these random bass players from around the world are playing to my tracks, are playing to my music, and they're enjoying it, and they're putting their take on my music. And so this has created a completely different platform. So now companies start finding out about me, and not only that, the perception of who I was changed from this dude who's just playing bass to, no, he's an artist. This is Jermaine Morgan, the artist. And so, bass magazines like Bass Players United, they're on board and they're backing some of the stuff that I'm doing. I think at that time, Bass Musician Magazine was involved in the process. Other players from around the world were involved in this idea of Say It With Your Strings, which was all birthed from starting the album. So years later, I'm continuing to do more stuff. I'm doing more records. I'm producing stuff for other people because they're hearing my work and they want me to produce things for them. I was already producing, but not as much on the instrumental side. But as people begin to hear the stuff and as I begin to do more music, it's like word started getting around. And so I started noticing that more people than what I thought were paying attention. They were listening to the music. And so it birthed this whole thing. Hence now, JermaineMorgan.net, with everything that I'm doing was birthed from the idea to put out a record. So it's not so much that the record sold a lot of copies, but the person that I became by going through the process of putting myself out there when I doubted everything that I was doing, the person that I became in return was way more valuable than any records or any amount of records I could have sold, because the financial return on what I've done from that record, this is good for me. If y'all don't get nothing out of this, I do. So I'm good. I'm good with this. I had a sticky tab on my computer for years, and I took it down. But it was a little yellow sticky tab just like this right here. I had it on my computer that said certain amount of units sold from The Journey Continues. So I had a goal. I was always setting goals. And I took it down because after years of not seeing it, because again, hindsight is 2020. You see things differently the older you get. But after not seeing those records sold, I think I eventually just took it off of my computer. And I'm like, oh well, it's cool. Just kind of let it go and didn't really think about it. But the amount of money that I would have made off of selling those records or selling those units over the years, with all of the work that I've put in and with the artistry itself and what I've gained as a result of starting that process, I've already exceeded that, what I would have done just by selling that record. So a lot of times the reward might not come in the form that you think it will, but nonetheless, the reward is still there. See, oftentimes when we're taking the risk, we're looking at the reward at face value, like, oh man, this is only worth $20 if I do this, or this gig is only worth $100 if I go do this gig. But what is the long-term reward for you taking that risk? It might not be a gig. It might be an idea. It might be a song. It might be, who knows what it is. I have people that are working with me who are putting themselves out there to create new music, and this is their first time taking a go at it as an artist. These are not what I consider professional players. Some of the people that I produce, they don't have a name, so to speak, but they're taking a risk, and what they're getting from it and hearing their idea and their musical idea come to life. Now it's like with some of these people, we started with that one song. They was just going to try something to see how it goes and whatever. And we did that one song. Now it's like, okay, I want to do this song. I want to do this song. And then it's like they're doing some other stuff with other people. And it's like, what was initially like, I don't know, but I'm going to just try it and see what happens. It's then turned into this whole big thing, because now by getting into this thing and putting yourself all the way into that risk, you're starting to see the payoff. you're starting to see the rewards that are available. And you can see somewhat of an end goal that's bigger than anything you imagined when you first started this thing. But if you never started, you don't get the benefit of seeing that. You just get to sit on the sidelines, and your vantage point is a little different than somebody who is out there on the field. I can see the field goal. If I'm at the 5-yard line, it's like that field goal is like it's in plain sight. But if I'm sitting on the sidelines, it looks different for me. When I'm on the sidelines, it looks a little different. But when I'm out here on the field, I can strategize a little bit differently because I can see it. It's right in front of me. So if I run around this dude, or if I knock him down, or if I jump over here, or if I can go around and get over here, I can get and score. But it's hard to come up with that strategy sitting on the sidelines. I can have an idea in my mind, but until I'm out there and I'm experiencing the game and I'm experiencing being chased or being hit or being attacked, the possibility of all these big guys, these big things that look so much bigger than me coming at me. But I know if I can just get around them, or if I can go through them, if I can come up with a play that can get me to where I need to be, the end zone, I'm going to be good. But most of us won't find that part out because we're not willing to take the risk. But you have to believe that the reward is always greater than the risk, depending on what it, let me be clear, depending on what you're trying to do. If it's something you really desire. And this came to me this morning, and I was doing some meditation this morning. One of my favorite scriptures: delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. This came to me this morning because I was thinking about some of the things that I was doing, or that I'm doing now, some of the things that I'm currently walking in, some of the things that I'm currently living in. I took such a huge risk to do a lot of the things that I'm doing now without full clarity, but I knew I had a desire to do something. The more I pushed myself, the more I worked on me, the more I worked on my mind, the more I changed the things and my vision, the way I see things, the way I've been accustomed to believe. The more I changed those things, the more my desire changed. More so, the closer I got to God, that being the center of everything for me. But the closer I got to that, the more everything started to change for me. And I started feeling myself drawn to different things that I didn't necessarily want early on. It's like I kind of wanted certain things, but the more I started changing and started changing the way I am, changing my mindset, I felt myself drawn to certain things. And that, it's funny, it's hard to explain it, but that's what happens. You feel yourself starting to be drawn to things that are different. Your desires start to change because these ideas open up. The idea of who you are begins to change. This image that you've placed on yourself based on failures, based on disappointments, based on exposure to maybe family or maybe friends or people in your community, and that's all you've seen. It's like your image of self can sometimes be too low. But the moment you start getting out and getting exposed to other things, it's like that starts to open up. And that comes with taking a risk, because oftentimes if you don't risk leaving where you are, if that's mentally, if that's spiritually or physically, if you don't risk stepping outside of the norm of how you know it, everything that you see in front of you is going to always be the same. But once you start stepping outside of that, your desires and those kind of things start to change. You ever notice how you went to some place for a vacation or something, maybe stayed in a vacation home or something like that? All of a sudden, all this stuff that you were cool with around your house, it starts to change. It's like, wait a minute, man, I want a pool. It's like, I want this. I want, I want a tennis court. I want whatever your thing is. You get exposed to something, now your wants and your desires become a little different. And if you're a person who's not completely self-centered, it's like your desires start shifting into the needs of others. One of the things I was going to talk about this morning when I changed the topic, I was going to talk about being selfish. My headline for this live was like, I'm straight selfish. And what I meant by that, the reason why I started really, really teaching on YouTube, yes, I wanted to help people and I wanted to help people grow in terms of their playing. But for me, the payoff for me doing the videos and even on JermaineMorgan.net and the monthly membership lessons where I'm constantly giving these lessons, it helps me more than it helps you. Because over the years, I started realizing the way that I learned was by sharing, by explaining it to somebody else. Because if I can explain it to somebody else, it means I really, really have it. I really have the information. I really got it locked in my head. So the more I share, the more I retain. It's the craziest thing, but it's the way that I learn. So the more I give you information, the more information comes to me. It's like information is attracted. The more I keep pouring it out, the more that keeps getting added. Is what's the old song that you can't beat God given. No matter how hard you try, the more you give, the more He gives to you. So the selfish approach to me is like, I know if I give this information out, there's more information coming back to me. So I don't mind. You want to know this lick? Ah, here it is. That's all. I can tell you exactly what it is, because by doing that, I learned something new. By giving out this information, I become something else. I'm constantly becoming, because I'm willing to take the risk, because it's a risk for me to even share information online or share ideas online, especially nowadays. You put something out there, everybody takes it and run. Oh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna run with it. I've had plenty of times that I've did stuff online and I seen that thing duplicated by some other creator or something like that, and they take it and they put a different spin on it, and it's almost like cats try to beat you being you. But the thing about it, the more you give, the more that's given back to you. So they might take that idea and run with it, but the thing about it, they can't take your fingerprint with the idea. So they might have an idea, but they're never going to be you with the idea. So this is for somebody who's on the edge of your seat with an idea, and you haven't moved because you feel like the work and the energy and the effort that it's going to take for you to do this thing, it's going to cost too much. You can't fathom the payoff that you could possibly or potentially get just by taking that leap of faith and doing what it is you're supposed to be doing. Because your reward could definitely be a lot greater than the risk you have to take. So my plea to you this morning, stop sitting on it. Stop waiting. Because somebody got that same idea. It's at this point, it's about who's going to pull the trigger first. I hate to be the one to tell you. I don't care how unique you think your idea is. Somebody else is thinking the same thing, and they're working hard to try to get it off the ground. And while you're sitting there on the resources and you're sitting there with the connects, they're working their behind off trying to get the connects that you have. And they're going to get them, because the people who are working towards that goal, it seems like stuff is just attracted to them. The more you start moving towards a worthy goal, the more things start to line up. You start finding stuff. You start finding resources. And even some of the resources that you're sitting on, some of them people going to move and go help that person who's moving with the idea that you have and you won't move with. So just a reminder to you, not to scare you, just a reminder to you, you can't sit on that idea. You can't wait for the right time to jump in. It ain't going to be a right time to jump in. The water going to be cold on all sides. It don't matter what time of day you get in it. Unless it's a heated pool, and we know those are rare. So you got to just jump in the water. You got to dive in and go with the idea. And I love the quote by Les Brown. He said, jump and grow your wings on the way down. That's wings for you people who are not country. But he said, jump and grow your wings on the way down. Start before you have it all figured out. Just get started. Just get started. You want to do your due diligence as much as you can. But some of you guys use that for an excuse not to do anything. I want to research about it. I want to learn a little bit more about it. I want to read a book about it. Yeah, read a book. But read a book while you work. Read a book while you work on it. One of the things that I talked to some students who have went through the same program that I went through when I was in college, and I was learning commercial music, the ins and outs of it and that kind of thing. One of the biggest things for me is when I got out of college, almost everything I had learned up until that point, by the time I got into the real world, it was obsolete. They weren't even doing stuff like that anymore. It's like some of it was still in place. A lot of it was in play. But majority of it for the industry that I went into, it was like, we don't do that. We don't do none of that. So if you're going to do this, this is how you do it. And most of it is built off relationships. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought if I do this, that information is obsolete now. So yeah, you got to do something different. And especially if you went to college when I did, and now you're in the music industry, everything is different. COVID changed the game for everything and everybody. So the traditional way of how we have always done things had to change. If you weren't tech savvy and you had a church or a ministry or something like that, you know you had to get tech savvy super quick because your church was going to go under because people couldn't gather. So you had to get on computers. You had to get on the Facebook Live. The thing that you said was the devil and all this stuff. Like, nah, now you're on there preaching. So it shows you that things will change whether you're ready for them to change or not. So you have to jump in, start figuring these things out before you're ready. If you know you're supposed to be on camera, putting up videos, talking to people, you better get to practicing. Well, I ain't ready to go on YouTube Live or Facebook Live yet. All right, well, FaceTime about 5 or 6 of your family members and talk to them. Make a video, send it to your best friend, have them to critique it. Send it to somebody. Send it to a group of people that you trust. They're going to give you honest feedback until you're ready to go live. And then again, I'm going to contradict myself. Just go live, whether you're ready or not. Because you're going to find some things out about yourself that maybe people who are too close to you aren't going to tell you. They're not going to tell you the truth. I ain't finna hurt your feelings because especially if you're already funny acting anyway, I'm not finna risk hurting your feelings and having you fall out with me. But if I don't know you, like a lot of people that come for me on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, is like, if I don't know you, I'm going to say whatever I want to say to you because I can hide behind my computer. You don't see my face. And so I can get away with it. So at least you're getting honesty. Might not be the feedback you want, but it might actually be the feedback that you need. Because oftentimes the things that you don't want sometimes are the things you need. Case in point, I don't like oatmeal. I don't. I can't stand oatmeal, but I know it's good for me. And the more of it I eat, I'm not saying I eat it all the time, but the more of it I eat in the place of something that is unhealthy, my body appreciates it and it will reward me in the long run for making that good decision over and over again. I'd rather have something sweet before I go to bed or whatever, but I choose to eat an apple before I go to bed because I know that long-term thing, doing it in the place of where I want to do something just like way off and just get some cake and just go at it. I know it's over the long term, it's going to reward me for making that good decision. So sometimes the thing you're trying to dodge or the thing you're trying to avoid is the very thing you need to be running after because that's the thing that's going to help push you forward. Good morning, Melvin. Good morning to you. So anyway, guys, I don't want to prolong the time anymore. I just wanted to get on here and share these ideas with you concerning your risks over rewards, or rewards over risk rather, because I'm telling you, if you don't start looking at this thing in a different way, you'll miss out on a lot of opportunities in life. And you'll be that person saying, well, I thought about this, man, back in 1975. You're like, okay, and that's been done. And nobody, I've thought about cell phones and I thought about all this stuff. I called it something different though, but you didn't do anything with the idea. So you get no credit for thinking about something. Just let that sink in. You get no credit for thinking about something. The person who gets the credit is the one who moves first. You don't get the credit for having the idea first. You might have thought of Apple before Steve Jobs was even born. But Steve Jobs got the credit for it because he took the risk. Now he's reaping the benefit of the reward. No risk, no reward. No cross, no crown. So I challenge you today. Change your perception, change your perspective. Start looking at things differently. What if you have only 10 years? What will you do with the time that you have left? Something to think about. So I want to do this before we jump off of this live. Anthony McBride. Congratulations, sir. If you're watching this, you are the winner of these strings by SIT, the Rock Bright strings. These are Rock Bright stainless, 45 through 125, a 5-string set of strings. All he had to do was enter a little phrase in the chat on last week to be entered to win. I have people who already received their strings. So Anthony McBride, if you're watching this, be sure to send me an email to Jermaine@JermaineMorgan.net and claim your strings. Simply send me your address, where to ship these strings to, and I will get them right out to you. So you are the winner of today's strings. In order to be entered to win, I still have a few more strings I'm going to give out. In order to be entered to win for your strings, simply type in the comment reward. Reward. You can do rewards or reward. I take both of them, either one. So just simply put that in the chat. Rewards, or if you're watching this in the replay, type reward. On next week, I will pick a winner. Same time next week when we come live, I will pick a winner of who's gonna get these strings. So I really, really appreciate you guys for hanging out with me today. If anybody have any questions, y'all are mighty quiet this morning unless my comments aren't loading. Y'all mighty quiet this morning. I guess everybody just listening. When will you and your group be playing live and where? Right now, Melvin, I don't know. I don't know with what's going on. I haven't really. There you go. I see y'all in the comments now. Y'all was just listening this morning. Started to feel bad about that contest now, but I'm not eating not eating any oatmeal. All right, y'all got to do what you got to do. I see y'all. So y'all just chilling in here listening this morning. All right, y'all just being quiet. Cool. So yeah, Melvin, I don't know when the next time the band will be playing again live. We're working towards that. But truthfully, my focus has been elsewhere. I haven't been focusing as much on trying to do the live thing because of the restrictions and all the COVID stuff. I thought about trying to do a live concert. I thought about doing a live concert. I haven't completely ruled that out, and it's just about kind of getting the pieces into place so that we can pull that off and pull it off in a good way. A lot of pieces that got to get in play. I know I'm talking to y'all about taking the risk and all that kind of stuff. Trust me, I'm taking a lot of risk right now. I just got to put everything in order. So there's a lot of things I have on the table that are moving forward towards the goal of what I'm trying to accomplish. So that is something that's on the list of to-dos, and just trying to figure out the best way to go at doing this thing and getting people's schedules and stuff to work out as well as finances, because my band is not all here. Everybody's not here. So yeah, but he said a live concert would be amazing. I would love to do that. So again, I'm working towards that. I just putting everything in order. Keep me posted because I will come. Appreciate that, Melvin. I appreciate that. So we'll definitely keep you posted on that. And so again, guys, thank you for being here this morning. Again, if you want to enter for your chance to win these strings, all you have to do is super simple. Type reward in the comment section. As well, if you guys were here at the very beginning and you saw the commercial about the Shout course, well, number one, let me clear up the fact I'm no longer at that church. That's an old commercial, but it's still relevant in terms of the course. The course is available on JermaineMorgan.net. If you want that course, it's available right now. You can go over. I put the link in the description where you can go and find that course. If you're interested in what I talked about earlier, the Key Largo, if you're interested in learning more information, I placed a link in the description where you can go now and watch that video to find out a little bit more the techie side. It's a video about radio engineering. They actually talk about all of the specs of this, and they get into the details, so you'll have a better idea of what to expect from this DI. This is a DI that doubles as an interface, and yeah, you need to check this out. So, and I mentioned all the stuff about keyboards, but what I didn't mention, I failed to mention this, you can actually use this for your bass as well. You can plug your bass in here. If you're running Keybase and you're trying to kind of double for a mixer, you can run your bass into here. You can run multiple basses in here, as a matter of fact. Like you, again, because we're sending out a mono signal, you can run up to 6 basses in here. If you wanted to do a key bass and you wanted to run just your bass in, you can do that. So it's not just for keyboard players. You can run a good bit of stuff through here and be sweet with it. So it's actually can just double as a mixer altogether if you wanted a compact mixer to take with you for a small situation or something to use in your studio. Jerry, good morning to you. Good morning to you as well. So again, guys, thank you for being here. I'm Jermaine Morgan. This is Grooves of Motivation. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button. Help me out with this algorithm. And also be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We're on our way to 40,000 subscribers. We're on our way, and I thank you guys who've been sharing the videos on your page and doing all these different things to help me get the word out, to help me spread the word. And if you know somebody that this information will be helpful to, don't be stingy. Share this information with somebody. Share this information. Share this video, and be sure to turn on my notifications so you know when I go live and all of that kind of stuff. You said I have one that's for earphones. You have what? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure. You talking about a mixer? You have a mixer that's for earphones? I'm taking it that's what you're talking about. Well, that's cool, man. That's cool. So anyway, guys, gonna jump off. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out. Much love. Peace.